Hey, everybody, this is Belisa Lea, and I am the Iron Maiden of Haddonfield. And I'm so proud to be on the SlasherPepper show today. So stay tuned for more and learn about the irony of it all.
Hey guys, SlasherPepper, and welcome to another video. Today is another interview, and this time with Belisa Lea. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Roger?
Doing wonderful. I'm happy to have you on the show. And to most horror fans, she's known as the Iron Maiden of Haddonfield because she is seen in the new Halloween Kills holding an iron trying to beat Michael Myers somehow. So there you go.
I got it off of eBay, and I think I bought the last two. I've got another one coming because you always, and the Iron Maiden needs to have a backup iron. So I might end up auctioning one of these off for charity. So you'll
Awesome.
have to stay tuned. So
Awesome. What kind of charity are you trying to start up then?
well, actually, I'm starting a charity for a disease called PMR, polymyalgia rheumatica, which I am unfortunately suffer from it. And it's a disease, an autoimmune disorder that strikes people predominantly within Scandinavian bloodline, which I do have a good portion of Scandinavian, and also predominantly women, but it is happening to people earlier and earlier in their life, and used to be a disease for people 70 and older. And that's why you didn't hear about it. But I started with this at 41. There are people now in their 20s. And I think it's totally related to the stress, the chemicals, the abuse we've done to this earth, that it's now affecting us as a human being. And it's not well known. It's very close to MS, multiple sclerosis. It can appear as though you've had a stroke. As also ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, and it can affect you neurologically, your joints, your bone, the bone, the muscle, the tendons. And there's days when I seem like I might be drunk, and it's not. It's this disorder. So I'd love to, one, raise awareness, two, get some of the medical community to actually start doing something instead of just placating the disorder and those of us that suffer from it. So thank you for letting me share a little bit about it. And I am starting a 501c corporation and nonprofit.
Awesome. And
to
where can
help.
people
Yeah.
find this?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link actually on your page, if I might.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
doing some legal things today with a lawyer, and want to make sure it's set up properly because I want those proceeds to go to this foundation.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I'm working with some of the other horror community, and we've developed a t-shirt, and $1 for every t-shirt, tank top, hoodie, everything is going to go towards this foundation too. So that's the whole premise behind my desire. Within the horror community, I've been embraced, so much love's been shown to me, and I want to prove that there's good that's still out there. Awesome. And that I came running with my iron. Who would do that? Who would come to a fight with an iron? But look at the point. If it's still hot, you can swing it and clock somebody with it. But I also want to instill some goodwill and happiness. And dear God, I haven't laughed so much in years over all the memes. So, it's. I know you've seen some of them.
Oh yeah.
I'm the Mona Belisa. I've now been married to Mike Myers, and I can't. One of my favorite was being in the lineup with the guys in Braveheart. And there I am.
Awesome.
I'm an Iron Maiden. I'll have to figure out how to do it. Shield with my iron too, and be a shield maiden. So thank you for having me be a part of this today. And what questions do you have for me?
Oh, well, so
sorry,
first
that was a plane going over.
All good. Well, to all the viewers that might be interested in your nonprofit, the links will be in the description so you can check it out. And well, to talk about Halloween Kills, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
What was it like filming the film, and how did you even get involved?
Well, I am a trained actress, and I've done a lot of smaller film and commercials, voiceovers. And I had gone to the Wilmington area in North Carolina, moved there in 2015. And I'd been doing film work up again in DC. And I said, this is the Mecca for the East Coast in film. Unfortunately, that was right at the point when it was tanking. So I'm waiting around for opportunities. And the only thing available were good casted roles within the independent film industry, and then background work for major films and series. So I got to know a lot of the people, got to know who was doing the background casting work, and submitted. And I had worked with the casting company a number of times, and they sent a message out, and they were looking for middle-aged women and men to show up in this neighborhood and be neighbors in the movie. And I had already missed, unfortunately, not being chosen for the bar scene, which is a great little bar I've sung at 100 times, called the Rusty Nail. And I just was, I can come in at 11 o'clock tonight with a potential 12 p.m., 1 a.m. start. And they placed me in a house and in pajamas. And I'm looking out the window, all the chaos that's going on. And they liked the way I looked, the fear, the apprehension, and then kind of the frustration and anger over my neighborhood being attacked. And so they said, let's get her dressed. Let's get her coming out of the house. And I come out onto the street, and I don't have a weapon. So the props master gets a cue, from the director and first AD, and he hands me this iron. So it was this iron. We'll have to give a plug to General Electric. And this is the iron that I used growing up, and it was a replica of it. And I'm thinking, what in the hell am I going to do with this? So I started swinging it, thinking, I could really clock him with it. And then the PA came over, and he goes, you need to stop swinging the iron. So, I got a little bit in trouble for that, but
too bad.
And it was great because I already had friends that were behind the scenes and crew, and I have friends that I know as being background. And I made so many more wonderful friends out of this show, got closer to a few others. And there's a lot of camaraderie that goes along because you sit and you wait and you do the scenes over and over again. And even as background, I take it seriously that I'm going to find a mark on the ground and I'm going to go right back to it. I'm going to remember how I'm standing. I'm going to remember all these things that, even though I'm a minor, tiny little speck in the universe, it's still important for continuity and the professionalism. And then you're asked back if you do well and you play well with others and that kind of thing. But part of that scene, it was shot in 2 different nights and weeks apart. And when we're shooting the bulk of that scene, the sun's starting to come up. And so we have to hurry and finish. So you can't control Mother Nature, but you can only control, when you've got 100 people around you or more, it can become chaotic, but it's a lot of fun to do. I would tell anybody, do it. Come to Wilmington. They've got 4 productions.
Uh-oh.
So I'm out there doing the interview, and all of a sudden a coconut comes out of the tree, knocks down, thank God, not my phone, but the stand, knocks it over and cuts everything out. So I have retreated into the house, and I have a strong roof, 1906 house. So it's not gonna affect me anymore. But sorry about that, guys. Oh boy. Lucille Ball lives in me. Just about every now. See, I see this thing up. I was doing this commercial years ago, and I was in front of a green screen, and the first AD, the first assistant director, kept coming over and like mucking with my hair.
Right.
And he goes, and he says, well, you have a lot of hair and they're sticking up. I said, just cut the damn thing. So they ended up cutting this piece of hair out of my head just so I wouldn't look like, I guess, alfalfa back from our gang and years ago. But all right, back to the craziness that ensues on sets. But I think I was talking about being a background actor. And I say background actor because, yes, we're props, but we're also, in the moment, and you have to look the part, feel the part. speak if you get a chance to speak the part, which that ups your ante. But it's still fun, and you meet a lot of great people. And there's so much going on in the Atlanta area. Wilmington is now, I think, 4 productions that they're working on right now. And so a lot of my friends are on sets right now. Ronald Blake, one of my buddies that we met on the set of Uncle Frank, just sat in for Dermot Mulroney, and I went to middle school, high school with him, and I kind of screwed up in a play that he and I were in together. And unfortunately, I went ahead a scene, and he wasn't able to come on as young Cratchit in Christmas Carol. Didn't affect his spontaneity and the next scene, and didn't affect his stardom. So you never know where that start can be, and what's going to make the difference. But it's just a lot of fun. And then when you do get to see all the blood and the gore right in front of you, at least for me, that's allowed me to see more horror films and not be scared out of my wits. So
that actually brings me to my next question.
Great.
Like, are you much of a horror fan? And if so, like, what are some of your favorite horror movies?
I think back to ones that were popular in the 70s and 80s. And
The Exorcist.
I found yes, oh dear God. And there's a stairwell in Georgetown that I was so afraid to go up. And I had to go up it one night by myself around midnight.
Oh.
And all I'm thinking is, oh dear God, are you going to have some of these, the crazy head spinning and the vile throw up and all of those other things that go on with the possession, meet me at the top of the steps. But thankfully, none of that happened. One of my favorite was, of course, the Shining. And I had to stop and start several times watching it back on VHS, if most of your viewers know what that is.
Yeah.
And then there was one called The Changeling, and I'm starting to get back into horror films now. And I'm an avid watcher of Netflix, and I love British movies and series that have that intrigue and horror, because it is just, it's so interwoven with the characters and with intrigue and what you may not even suspect.
Yeah.
And it may not always be that in your face, but it's that fear and that excitement that gets, the adrenaline going and the heart pumping and a little bit of sweat happening. So there are others as well. And I'll come back to that and I'll have a list for you.
Awesome.
Great.
And then I also have some philosophical and random questions for you.
Sure.
If you ruled the world, what would it look like?
Oh my God. It would be very straight, very tight. All the corners would be ironed very well. But you know what? Philosophically, for me, in my 30s, I went back to school and studied horticulture, because I'm sitting there. I've worked for the military. I've sold in the military, and it wasn't what I desired in life to do, but I'm in the DC area, and all I could dream of was being outside that window in the garden. So I would have it lush and beautiful, and all of the buildings hidden. It's kind of like the mounds of dirt that all of the, oh God, I'm going to forget this now. It's showing my age. But that the hobbits lived in.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Imagine that, everything green, everything beautiful, at least in those scenes.
Yeah.
So I would tear down a lot of the big buildings and the shopping malls and plant trees.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve. This is terrible, but I suffer from anxiety. So when somebody's doing this with a pen, they're doing like this, or they're doing their leg, up and down, that freaking drives me crazy. That will create an opportunity for me to be a star in a horror film. So yeah. And I live with a drummer, so there's times when he's doing this rapid same sound, and I'm going, no, or the, what are called, the rim shots. And it's like, please, no. Cowbell's fine. But some of the others, it's kind of crazy to hear those repetitive noises. So yeah.
And if you could change one characteristic about yourself, what would you change?
Mental or physical? What
Mental.
would you say? Mental. I would remember stuff a hell of a lot better than I do. Seriously.
Me too. Me too.
Seriously. I can walk on stage and sing a song that I make up as I go along versus being able to remember all the words. It's so tough for me. And it was funny. I have one daughter, Serena, and she was just able to memorize things like crazy. So at 3 years old, I had her up on stage in community theater. And she started playing instruments at 5 years old, could play about 10 different things. But she would help me, and she would get so frustrated helping me try to remember my lines. And I'm on stage and I looked out at her and I see this kind of like scowl. And she knew I'd messed my lines up, and I went back and recaptured it. Nobody else knew, but she did. So yeah, right. My memory. Oh, my memory.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And do you believe in life after death?
I believe in heaven, and I believe that we all have a soul that continues to exist. And I don't think I'd be here if I didn't have some of my ancestors and some of my former cats that didn't watch out for me. And I've become a fan of Matt Frazier, who is a medium, and it's helped me have less of a fear of death, less of a fear of losing an animal. I grew up with a ghost in the house in Virginia, had one in the house that I bought when first saw her when I was pregnant with my daughter. And I don't want to be one of those. I want to be one of those that passes on and actually, gets to go to heaven and gets to be around those that I love again.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a nicer story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And here's the final question.
Okay.
If your life was a movie, how would you want it to end?
Oh,
and I expect irons here.
Oh my God. All right. So this is like, I wish upon the iron.
Yeah.
We all think about what our life is going to be like in different phases of our life. And then once you start to get to a certain point, you want to grab onto that golden ring. And that's another reason that, people go, oh, you're just doing background. You're just doing this. Guess what? You're still doing what your heart desires. You're still doing what you love. And like sometimes with music, jazz and blues, those are my favorite to sing. They don't have an age restriction. I worked with a number of mature actors and actresses on different sets, including Uncle Frank this year. They're doing what they love. So at the end of my life, I want to be doing what I love. I want to be having someone else iron my clothes, though.
Yes.
Because I burn the hell out of myself when I iron. But I really want to be in the moment and just be like the guys on stage that are playing guitar and they kneel down and they're gone. I want to be on that film set, and then they can just have to write me out of it instead of write me in it.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's a beautiful answer.
Right. And so I've got a question for you. What brought you to do the podcasts and then to have the main subject of horror films as your genre for your show?
Long story.
A long story.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I started doing YouTube when I was really young, and I started doing like these Lego stop motion videos, because I love doing Lego, and I was always interested in filmmaking, so I figured I'd give that a try with help of my dad, of course.
Well, good.
And then I later did like a superhero channel, and I did all sorts of things, and eventually I found my passion in horror, which I guess was sort of you could have seen it coming. I started watching more violent superhero movies, and I was somehow really intimidated by it, but I wanted to keep watching.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
yes.
damn, I'm not supposed to watch this shit, but I want to see more. And then eventually, like now it's horror, and like that's my favorite genre. And eventually I started doing interviews very naturally, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because I was really surprised to get a reply from still one of my best friends nowadays. This was like 2019, by the way.
Oh,
I,
great.
I got a reply from the author of multiple Nightmare on Elm Street books
Oh,
on
wow.
Instagram, and I was like,
Wow.
at that time, I didn't know it was so easy to reach certain people. Sometimes I was
Right.
like, man, this is crazy. So I was like, maybe we can do something for the channel, and I figured we could do an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, pretty much from there, I thought, the sky's the limit. I can try to interview
Great.
more people, and here I am
Great.
now.
Well, it's opened up a lot of opportunities for people, youth like yourself, and others that, they have a desire, a dream, a love, and all of a sudden
Yeah,
you've got a platform. And when I was doing a lot of my acting training, it was with cameras that were, as big as this couch that I'm
yeah.
sitting on. And you can't record anything. I used to run fashion shows when I was younger. I was a swimsuit and lingerie model, and I have no film from that. I'm recording all the music on cassette tapes. I'm lining up the girls. I'm timing everything. But of course, I'm the first one to go on stage, and I'm the
Yeah,
last one to be on stage. And it's just, follow your dreams, follow your love. It may, end up that you write an amazing horror film, or that you begin, let's do something and get the Iron Maiden out there as not just an action figure, but a little bit of a hero.
yes.
And let people know that it doesn't matter that you've gotten older, doesn't matter that you've gotten wider, doesn't matter that you've gotten slower. You can still appeal. I think
Yeah,
it was that pain and angst and everything and anger of life that I tried to really put in to those brief few seconds. And if I had an opportunity to save a neighbor, would I stand up? Maybe now I would,
awesome.
because, it's all we need to forget about all this crazy stuff that's happened in the world in the last 2 years. It's 3 years, 4 years, so much ugliness, so much war, so much strife. And remember that we're all one human family, one
Yeah,
human race. And it's a race to the end that sometimes it's a happy end, sometimes it's not. But give somebody a smile, say something kind, treat someone with respect, and go out fighting with your iron
yes.
to protect, not to instigate anything.
Yes.
But I really look forward to seeing more of your interviews, and
Awesome.
I'd love to have the chance to come back on where, like I said, we're going to be doing t-shirts are going to be launched. I think today, my nonprofit is going to be launched in the next 24 hours.
That's great.
There's an action figure out there I don't have my name on, but I'd love to do one that actually moves. And
Yes.
she can take that iron. And Comic-Cons, I'm being invited. Keep doing
Oh,
it.
awesome.
2 independent movies have already talked with me about it. One guy wants to write a book about my backstory. Honey, I am like living in the moment. And I finally got some sleep after about a week nonstop of trying to respond to everybody
Yeah.
and learn new technology. So I'll be better next time when I do a Zoom interview. And
Awesome.
I really appreciate you in what you do for the genre. And hello to some of my ancestors in Norway, Scandinavia, and all over the freaking world, I found out. But thank
Awesome.
you.
I
Thanks
feel
so
like
much, Roger.
that's the perfect note to end it on.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And to everybody watching, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Bye.